Welcome to the deep dive. We've got some really fascinating source material in front of us today.
We certainly do. It's excerpts from a book, basically a compilation of contact notes, purported contact notes, I should say, from Edward Billy Meier.
Right. And our mission for this deep dive is pretty straightforward. We're going to dive into this specific account. We want to explore the key claims, some of the really surprising details, and the profound messages, sometimes unsettling messages too.
Exactly. We're looking just at what's in these notes, treating this text as the basis for our discussion today, trying to understand the perspective being presented here.
Think of us as guides, maybe, through this particular document.
That's a good way to put it. We're here to unpack the information reportedly conveyed during these alleged extraterrestrial contacts, laying out what the text actually says.
Point by point. And yeah, it's definitely a dense and pretty extraordinary set of claims we're getting into.
No kidding.
Okay, let's jump right in then. How does the account start? It seems to begin with observations, right? Seeing lights in the sky.
Yeah, unexplained lights. The notes refer to them as traveling stars.
Traveling stars. And there's even a specific time frame given to avoid satellites, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. That's what the source suggests for observation.
Okay. And then it moves from just seeing lights to something much more direct.
It does. This observational phase reportedly leads to a very dramatic personal encounter. According to the notes, this happened back in November 1942. Young Edward Meier, he's out in a meadow.
Right.
And this pear-shaped flying object comes down, lands nearby, and a figure gets out.
Figure.
Described as a very old man. And this man signals to Meier.
Wow. Imagine being a kid seeing that. And the notes claim he actually went inside.
That's what's written. Taken inside this pear-shaped craft, he reportedly saw Earth from high up, saw it on screens inside the ship.
Screens. Like video screens.
Seems like it, yeah. And the landing, when he was brought back, is described as gentle. Then the object just rises straight up and vanishes at, quote, splitting speed.
Splitting speed, okay. And this old man, he has a name.
He does. Identified as Sfath. S-F-A-T-H. And the text says Sfath spent time explaining things, teaching him, giving him information, and data that Meier was explicitly told he had to keep silent about for his entire life.
His whole life.
Yeah.
That's quite a thing to lay on someone.
It is, and Sfath apparently showed up again later, around 1944, according to the notes.
So the big question then is, why him? Why Meier? Do the notes address that?
They do try to. According to this source, Meier was chosen because, and this is a quote again, he had found the truth and have acquired the knowledge.
Okay.
And they claim they knew him very well. Apparently he stood out from the great mass of human beings.
So they saw something special in him based on their criteria.
That's the claim. And this supposed unique status led to the main instruction, the directive he was given.
Which was?
Very clear, quoted in the text. Write everything down and go to the public with this then.
Go public. But hang on, if he's out in a meadow, did he even have, like, a pen?
Good point. The notes actually mention that. He didn't have writing tools with him at first.
Okay.
But the reassurance given was, essentially, don't worry about that now. You can write it all down later.
Yeah.
The explanation, the information, that comes first.
So, the mission was clear from the start. Document and disseminate.
According to the source, yes. That really sets the stage for everything that follows.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Moving from those personal encounters to the bigger picture. What's the perspective on humanity that comes through in these notes? You said it was frank?
Frank, yeah, and maybe even critical. Is that fair?
Critical seems like an understatement based on what I read. The notes, they express some serious disapproval of Earth humans, especially about, what's the term? Spiritual recognition.
That's the phrase used, yes. And the general state of the great mass of humanity. They aren't painting a flattering picture.
No, and they take aim at earthly institutions too, don't they?
They do. Particularly critical of what the source calls Earth's sects and deceivers.
Deceivers.
And they make a point of saying these groups are not in contact with them, the Pleiadians, that is.
Yeah.
The text even mentions they would have offered photo proof to these groups, but only if they were sincere humans, which implies... it implies they weren't seen as sincere.
Okay, so criticism is there.
Yeah.
But what's the core message they want people to grasp? Is it just about believing them?
Actually, no. Quite the opposite, which is interesting. What really stands out, based on these notes, is their appeal to reason.
Reason. How so?
They insist, apparently quite strongly, that nobody should accept any statement just on faith alone, not even theirs.
Really? Even their own claims.
Especially their own claims, it seems. The text emphasizes you should know what you believe and why. Everything should be questioned, tested.
That's not what you might expect from beings delivering profound messages.
It's definitely a notable aspect, and this skepticism extends to our own understanding of the past.
History books.
Exactly. The notes critique Earth histories, claim they're often quite false.
False how?
Reinterpreted, changed by different regimes over time to fit their own narratives, their own agendas.
Okay, that makes a certain kind of cynical sense, I guess.
And the source also points out that the very strong anti-religion stance found in these notes was a real sticking point for investigators who looked into the Meier case later.
I can imagine.
Yeah, but interestingly, the source says that while they found that aspect challenging, these investigators couldn't actually disprove the claims about the encounters themselves. They just noted that, well, something was indeed going on.
Intriguing. Okay, so strong opinions on society, history, religion. But how do they get here to deliver all this? The notes must talk about their travel, right?
Oh, they absolutely do. And this is where it shifts into some really advanced concepts, physics and space travel.
Advanced is probably putting it mildly.
Definitely. We're talking about penetrating hyperspace, dissolving infinite distances.
Dissolving distances. What does that even mean?
Well, the explanation in the text is that space and time, as we perceive them, they basically collapse. They become spacelessness and timelessness.
Spacelessness and timelessness.
They also call it zero time.
Zero time. So it's not like flying really, really fast through space.
Doesn't sound like it. It sounds more like bypassing space altogether, according to the description anyway.
Okay. And how do they achieve this? What kind of engines are we talking about?
The notes say their beam ships need two distinct drive systems. Yeah. One is for acceleration, getting up to the speed of light. They still use that. But the real game changer is what they call a hyperdrive.
A hyperdrive. Like in the movies.
Sort of, but the speeds mentioned are just staggering. The text describes it as capable of 1,000,000-fold and billion-fold the speed of light.
1,000,000,000 times the speed of light. I can't even wrap my head around that.
It's an astronomical number, literally.
So, hyperspace travel. What about maneuvering near planets? Gravity must be an issue, even for them.
They apparently have something for that, too. The notes mention a beam protection screen.
Beam protection screen, what does that do?
Its function is described in a few ways. It diverts physical objects, think asteroids, space dust without any pressure. It allows unlimited speed even within a planetary system.
So they don't have to slow down?
Apparently not. And critically, it neutralizes planetary gravity.
Neutralizes gravity, so the ship just isn't affected by it.
That's the claim in the text. It's not subject to the gravitational pull like, say, our Apollo capsules were.
Incredible. And the time it takes, this hyperdrive jump.
Get this. The claim is that passing through hyperspace takes no more than 1,000,000th of a second.
1,000,000th of a second.
Yeah, and unlike some of our theories about near-light speed travel, it supposedly causes no alterations to the people inside. No time dilation effects for them, no physical dangers.
Which is a huge contrast to the problems we foresee with relativistic travel.
Exactly. The notes highlight that contrast, the danger and the immense time involved in travel below light speed versus this instantaneous, safe hyperspace jump.
This physics, it goes even deeper, doesn't it? Something about the nature of matter itself.
It does. This is maybe one of the most fundamental ideas presented. Material, or matter, is described as the embodiment of idea.
The embodiment of idea. So thoughts create things.
That's sort of the implication. Matter isn't just passive stuff. It's generated, either by technology, by apparatus, which is how humans learn to manipulate it, or it's generated naturally by a spiritual force, which is preceded by an idea. And the ultimate source of all this is what they call the creation.
Material is the embodiment of idea sourced from the creation. That's a paradigm shift.
It absolutely is, compared to our standard materialist view. It puts consciousness or idea first.
Wow. Okay. Let's shift focus again. What about Earth's history? Not just recent history, but the deep past. The notes go there too, right?
Oh, yes. Deep, deep past. They contain claims about Earth being inhabited much, much earlier by other races.
Other races.
Before us.
According to the text, yes. It talks about Earth being settled and then evacuated multiple times over vast timescales by space-traveling races.
So we're not the first rodeo here, according to them.
Not by a long shot, based on this account. Earth's been visited, settled, maybe abandoned, long before our current civilization arose.
What about things like the Great Flood? Is that mentioned?
It is, and it's not presented as just a myth or a local event.
No. How do they explain it?
The source links it to a specific cosmic cause. Apparently, Earth used to have a massive vapor envelope surrounding it.
A vapor envelope, like a layer of mist.
Much denser, it sounds like. And the precipitation of this envelope is what caused the Great Flood. This supposedly led to sudden dramatic shifts in climate, land masses, water levels.
And that's when coal beds form?
That's part of the claim, yes. That this catastrophic precipitation event also created the conditions for coal formation. So a huge geophysical event with a defined cause. And what about legendary places? Atlantis.
Yeah. Mentioned by name. The notes talk about the destruction of both Atlantis and Mu.
And what happened to the people?
It's claimed that while some survivors were left behind, perhaps fell into servitude or a more primitive state, many of their great scientists and leaders managed to escape.
Escape where?
Back to their home worlds. The text specifically mentioned the Pleiades, but also other stars.
Fleeing back to the Pleiades. Okay. The notes also talk about a group called the Sons of Heaven. Right? That part sounded pretty wild.
It is a rather unsettling section. These Sons of Heaven are identified as descendants of an earlier group called the IHWH.
IHWH.
IHWH, like the Tetragrammaton.
Seems like a reference, yes. They reportedly led a regime here on Earth. But eventually, according to the source, they became independent, went their own way, and secretly started creating mutated beings.
Mutated beings? How?
The text claims by mating with wild Earth creatures.
Wild Earth creatures,
Yes.
like animals. It's described quite specifically. These wild Earth creatures are themselves said to be distant descendants of former human beings who came from space much earlier.
Okay, wait, so space humans came, some descendants became wild, and then later space humans, Sons of Heaven, mated with them.
That's the sequence described, yes. And this resulted in new life forms, including dwarf-like creatures.
So the whole humans evolved from apes idea. That's completely flipped on its head here.
Utterly reversed, according to this account. It presents a very different lineage for humanity and other hominids.
Right. And zooming into more recent history, the notes place it within cosmic cycles. Something about the age of Pisces ending.
Yes, they pinpoint the end of the age of Pisces around 1936. And they claim our current era, the one we're in now, is marked by this rapid acceleration of events, discoveries, inventions all across our solar system.
And this acceleration is driven
by the influence of a new cosmic age operating under cosmic law. It's presented as a natural, cyclical shift impacting development.
Okay. And what about the Pleiadians themselves? Where do they say they came from originally?
The notes touch on that too. Their ancestors reportedly came from a great sun system somewhere else entirely, which was eventually destroyed.
Destroyed?
Yes. And the survivors fled. Some ended up in the star cluster we call the Pleiades, others in the Hyades, and presumably other places too.
Fleeing a dying star system. Okay, that's a lot of cosmology and deep history. Let's shift again, maybe towards the core message, the spiritual side of things. That seems really central to the notes.
It absolutely is. Perhaps the most central theme. Ideas about spirit, existence, something called the creation, finding inner truth.
So what's their take on, say, the afterlife, a spirit world?
They explicitly state there is no separate spirit world in the way people often imagine it.
No. Then what happened?
Instead, they talk about fine material worlds. These exist in other dimensions.
Fine material worlds. Okay.
And that's where bodiless spirit forms are said to reside. The process described is, well, when a spirit leaves a physical body, it needs to vivify a body again.
Meaning reincarnate.
Essentially, yes. Either immediately or it goes to one of these fine material worlds for a time before returning to inhabit a newly created guest body.
A guest body. Interesting phrasing. So reincarnation, but with this specific mechanism involving other dimensions. And how does the creation fit in?
It's fundamental. The notes present this really powerful idea. The creation isn't some external god or deity watching over us.
No.
It is, quote, inside of every human being and inside everything else too. It's described as being a fraction of the universal manifestation itself.
So God, or the creation, isn't out there. It's in here, in us.
That's the core concept presented, a spark of the totality within each individual manifestation.
What's the effect of realizing that, according to the text? What changes?
Profound internal changes, apparently. The notes claim this realization leads to losing all fear, all doubt, gaining deep peace, tranquility. It illuminates your intelligence, strengthens your personality.
That sounds transformative.
It's presented as such. And it contrasts sharply with what the notes call the unspiritualized human.
How are they different?
The text draws a distinction. The spiritualized human consciously uses the forces of their own spirit, drawing on that connection to the creation within.
Okay.
Whereas the unspiritualized one, they direct their wishes, their prayers outwards to an exterior power force, often personified as a god or saint. They're looking outside for what's already inside.
So it's about accessing the source within versus praying to something external.
Precisely. Contacting the creation directly within yourself.
There's also a point made about historical figures like Jesus or Emmanuel, as they seem to call it.
Yes, that's clarified. The notes state that the lessons of Emmanuel aren't uniquely his teachings.
Yeah.
They are presented as the universal laws of the creation itself. Laws that Emmanuel, like anyone else, had to learn, recognize, and live by. He was revealing natural law, not inventing it.
So he was a teacher of universal laws, not the source of them.
That's the perspective given. And linked to that, there's a very strong instruction about worship.
Which is?
Absolutely emphatic in the notes. No creature should ever be idolized or adored. Not prophets, not saints, not even supposed divine beings.
No idols.
Period. That's the message. This practice of idolization is attributed specifically to Earth humans.
Okay. And this ties into their critique of humanity's current path, doesn't it?
It does. The text argues that Earth humans are actively blocking their own real spiritual growth because of gross materialism.
Gross materialism.
Yeah. And this is called a paradox of supreme magnitude.
Why a paradox?
Because humanity is seen as being in a very limited state spiritually and intellectually, yet possessing this vast arrogance, this focus on the purely material, which prevents growth.
Limited but arrogant, ouch.
It's a harsh assessment, and it leads to a very serious warning tied directly to our technological progress.
What's the warning?
The notes warn that as soon as humans master space travel, if we're still driven by weapons, by lies, by deceit.
Which, let's be honest, seems likely.
Right. Then we will inevitably try to bring strange worlds, other planets, under our control. And this is called out as a real danger, not just to us, but potentially to others out there.
A danger to the cosmos, basically. Which leads us right into the specific alarms they raise about Earth itself. What are the big warnings?
Well, first, there's a general concern. Certain human research, certain achievements are described as dangerous, potentially capable of bringing death, damage, and destruction on a massive scale.
Up to the level of the whole solar system.
That's the implication in the text, yes, not just local planetary danger.
Wow. Okay. What about specific environmental things? The ozone layer is mentioned, I remember.
Yes, very specifically. There's a claim about the ozone belt being destroyed by chlorine gas substances, CFCs, presumably.
And they give numbers.
They do. The notes state this destruction leads to increased UV radiation, and they give a figure, an average damage of 6.38% reached in just 60 years.
6.38%.
Which the text says is already harmful, already dangerous, and capable of causing mutational changes.
That's incredibly specific. And quite alarming, if accurate, back when it was written. What about other planets? Venus.
Venus gets a mention. Its atmosphere is described, unsurprisingly, as hostile to human forms of life.
Because of the pressure, right?
Immense pressure. The notes quantify it. 107 times Earth's atmospheric pressure.
107 times.
And they claim to have observed the remnants of Russian probes on the surface.
The Venera probes.
Presumably, described as being completely squashed and damaged by that pressure.
Which aligns with what we know happened to those early probes. Okay, what about our own activities? Atomic testing.
A major point of concern in the notes, grave concern expressed about Earth's atomic explosions damaging the ionosphere and also the Van Allen radiation belts.
Damaging our protective layers.
Exactly. And what's interesting here is the text claims other extraterrestrial groups share this concern.
Other groups, not just the Pleiadians.
Right. Beings reportedly from Andromeda and others who are apparently contacting different people on Earth, they're all said to be voicing similar worries about atomic testing and its consequences.
So it's not just one group's opinion, according to this source.
That's the claim, a shared concern among different visitors.
Looking at all these warnings, the overall assessment of our impact, it's pretty grim, isn't it?
It is decidedly bleak. The assessment conveyed is essentially, if humanity doesn't wipe itself out quickly with bombs, it's doing it slowly anyway. Slowly killing everything else on our planet with the after effects of our folly.
Strong words.
The source even asks if this behavior is characteristic of a sane species.
It's your question, maybe. And the ultimate punchline. the final warning.
It's unambiguous. The notes state Earth's madness is our own. No one is coming to rescue us.
No saviors from the stars.
Not according to this. Under the laws of nature, described in the text, if a species becomes a danger to itself, to its environment, to others, it's basically destined to remove ourselves.
Remove ourselves,
Okay.
as in extinction.
That seems to be the stark implication. The text says humanity create or destroy its own future. It's in our hands.
And there's a direct question posed.
Yes, right there in the text, in all caps apparently. Will Earthmen achieve rational consciousness before it is too late?
Wow. That really hangs in the air. A powerful, sobering thought.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift focus slightly. From the warnings to the personal experiences. Meier reportedly went on journeys, right? Beyond just Earth orbit.
Yes, the notes detail later flights, including one described with Semjase. She's a key figure mentioned throughout the notes.
Semjase, right. Where did they go?
On this particular trip, reportedly to Venus and Mercury.
Venus and Mercury. And the descriptions are detailed.
Incredibly so. The notes talk about seeing Venus's cloud cover unbelievably deep, seeing its surface too wild, cratered, some mountains visible.
Mercury.
Described as looking very much like our moon, covered in craters, sandy deserts, low mountains.
Did they see anything else on Venus besides landscape?
Interestingly, yes. The notes mention seeing surface stations belonging to extraterrestrial intelligences.
Stations on Venus.
Okay.
But there was an even bigger trip planned, wasn't there?
There was, referred to as the Great Journey. This was touted as taking him farther than any Earth human had allegedly traveled in the last 2,000 years.
2 millennia.
Yeah.
And he met someone important on this journey.
Yes, a figure named Ta, Ptaah.
No, Ta. Who is he?
Identified in the notes as Semjase's father.
Oh.
Also the leader, the commander of their giant spaceship, a mothership, presumably. And he's described with quite some gravity as an IHWH.
An IHWH again.
Yes, and also as a good god himself.
A good god. Wow. How do they communicate? Language barrier.
The notes mention the use of a language converter device during their interactions, made communication possible.
Makes sense. Now, the actual travel, the
Yeah.
hyperleap, how is that described?
It's described as a very distinct experience, a sudden change. Stars outside looking completely different.
And the distances.
It's just phenomenal. The first jump was estimated at around 80 light years. Later, they reached the Orion Nebula region, which is about 1,800 light years away.
1,800 light years. In potentially that millionth of a second.
That's the implication of the hyperleap physics described earlier, yes.
But maybe even more striking than the physics is the internal experience he reported during that leap.
This is maybe the most profound part of the personal accounts. During the hyperleap, Meier describes being in a state he calls eternity.
Eternity.
What was it like? He claims he could see and hear everything, but not with his physical eyes or ears, a different kind of perception.
Okay.
He felt this incredible, deep tranquility and the power of love. Everything was love and splendor, pure being.
That sounds blissful.
Overwhelmingly so. He actually describes finding it, quote, painful, this being a human, when contrasted with that state. He felt he belonged there, in that real existence, and wanted to stay.
Didn't want to come back to being human.
Yeah.
I could almost understand that. What was the jolt back to reality like?
Well, the notes recount the big surprise upon return. That journey, which subjectively felt like a split second in that eternity state during the hyperleaps,
Yeah.
it had actually taken over 2 days of Earth time.
2 days passed on Earth. Whoa. Time dilation, but different.
Seems so, a real disconnect between the subjective experience in hyperspace and objective time passage.
Okay, stepping back again, the really big picture. What view of the wider cosmos emerges from these notes? Is it empty out there?
Far from it. The scope described is just vast. The entire universe, the text claims, contains 127 billion human life forms.
127 billion with a B.
With a B, human life forms. And just the Pleiadian society alone is said to number 127 billion.
Which is huge compared to Earth.
The notes point out it's 26 times Earth's population at the time the notes were written.
So the universe is teeming with humans, basically.
Human forms, yes. But not only humans, the notes also mention innumerable other intelligent forms of life of non-human character.
Non-human intelligence.
Yeah, and also other human forms that are unknown to us or just not in contact with Earth currently. So incredibly diverse.
In our own origins, Earth humans are tied back to these star travelers again.
That point is reiterated, yes. Earth's current races originated from these heaven sons, the star travelers, our forefathers.
And our physical differences.
Right.
Skin color, size.
Attributed to environmental factors on the various planets they settled or originated from, climate, gravity. These influenced physical traits over time.
Leading to a huge range in appearance.
Exactly. The notes mention body sizes ranging from just 50 centimeters dwarf-like up to several meters tall, including beings we'd call giants.
Giants and dwarves.
Yeah.
All part of the human cosmic family, according to this.
That's the picture painted. And what about that really controversial claim, the one about monkeys?
Right, the monkey creature. How is that explained again? Because it's so counter to evolution as we know it.
It is. The notes present this very specific, very unusual claim. It links back to those heaven sons creating new life forms by mating with animals. But crucially, the monkey creature isn't described as our ancestor. It's described as a human-animal mutation that descended from early humans.
So humans came first, then some mutation involving animals led to monkeys.
That's the claim, the absolute reverse of Darwinian evolution. The notes even claim that skeletons of intermediate mutations have actually been found by Earth researchers, but misinterpreted.
Misinterpreted evidence. Okay. There's a whole other rabbit hole. Now, are the Pleiadians the only ETs interacting with Earth now, according to this source?
No, definitely not. The notes are explicit. There are other ET groups here.
Who are they?
Described mostly as human beings, looking like us, including some specifically mentioned as being from the Andromeda Galaxy,
Right.
and others who are reportedly contacting different individuals here on Earth, not just Meier.
And these other groups, do they share the Pleiadians' views, like on atomic testing?
The notes say yes. These other groups are also concerned about things like atomic tests and the damage being done, so a degree of consensus among the visitors, apparently.
But it gets even more complex, right? There are hints of other agendas, maybe less friendly ones.
Yes, that layer is there too. The notes indicate that other human races exist who are evolved beyond us. Some might just be observing,
Right.
but others are possibly attempting to impose their will on Earth, humans. And these are identified as, guess who?
Let me guess. Descendants of the IHWH.
Bingo. Descendants of the IHWH, still coming from those refuge planets mentioned earlier, apparently still trying to exert influence or control.
Wow. So it's not just benevolent Pleiadians. There are other players, potentially with their own agendas. That adds, layers of complexity.
Definitely complicates the picture.
Okay. Finally, let's look at the framework around these contacts. The rules, the principles, the challenges involved. All is described in the notes, of course.
Right. A key point is, why only Meier? Why are the contacts reportedly so restricted?
Yeah, that's a common question with these kinds of claims.
The notes attribute it to his specific background, what they call his prior preconditioning.
Preconditioning, meaning what?
Decades of it, apparently, including study, guidance, plus needing the right spiritual conditions, whatever those entail.
So it required specific preparation that others lack.
That's the justification given in the source. It states that direct physical contacts with other people are out of the question.
Okay. What about their rule of non-interference? We hear that a lot in UFO lore.
It's reiterated here. They state they do not interfere without just cause.
And just cause means?
Basically, unless a race becomes a direct danger to itself or to other life, other beings, then intervention might be considered.
Sort of cosmic prime directive, but with an escape clause for extreme danger.
Something like that. And interestingly, the notes mention how their own laws have changed as they've developed spiritually.
Oh, how so?
Well, regarding crime or dealing with dangerous elements within their own society, in the past they apparently used measures like elimination or castration, sterilization. Pretty harsh stuff. But now, their law dictates exile for life, sending offenders to distant, isolated locations and separating the sexes to prevent reproduction among the exiled.
Exile, not execution. And they connect this to Earth.
There's a rather pointed comment included. It says, Earth humans could potentially be subject to something like this exile, given our issues, but we're considered too corrupt and too disunited for it to even be applied effectively.
Too messy to even exile properly. That's damning.
It is.
What about weapons? Are these advanced beings pacifists?
Yes.
Flying around in unarmed ships?
That question is addressed head-on. Meier reportedly saw weapons. On Semjasi's ship, on Asket's ship, another contact mentioned, Svath's, even Ta's giant mothership.
So they are armed. Why?
Pada's explanation, as given in the text, is quite pragmatic. He basically says neither we nor any other life form can manage without suitable weapons.
Really? Everyone needs weapons.
Every single race needs a defensive weapon. That's the quote provided. A rather stark statement about the realities of the cosmos, perhaps.
Defensive weapons. Now, documenting all this, especially the photos, that seemed to have been a huge challenge.
Massive. The notes stress how important the photos were meant to be for confirmation, proof,
But,
but lots of problems. Meier was reportedly forbidden from taking close-ups of Semjase or filming her.
okay, limitations from their side.
Yes, but also claims of evidence interference. Negatives, photos, especially crucial ones taken near the mothership without some special protective screen, they kept getting lost or destroyed mysteriously.
Lost or destroyed. By whom? It doesn't say.
It implies interference, but doesn't explicitly name culprits usually.
Yep.
So the instruction Meier received was, share the written reports, share the photos you do manage to keep, but absolutely do not give away the original negatives, films, or diapositives.
Oh, why not?
Because of the high risk, they'd just be seized or disappear like the others. Protect the source material.
So a mix of deliberate limitations and external suppression, according to the account.
That's the picture painted. And the notes also touch on Meier's own struggles trying to fulfill this mission. It wasn't easy.
What kind of struggles?
Challenges within his own support group, for instance. Members having doubts, being reluctant to go public.
Why? Reluctant. Fear.
Fear of consequences, yeah. Potential financial loss, professional disadvantage, ruining their normal lives.
Understandable fears, I suppose.
Although the text includes Semjase finding this partly illogical. She reportedly pointed out that people who announce uncomfortable truths have always faced danger throughout history.
True enough. Any other criticisms?
Both Semjase and another contact, Asket, are noted as criticizing Meier himself sometimes for failures in getting the mission properly started, getting it recognized effectively.
So they weren't always happy with his progress.
Apparently not. Financial problems were also mentioned. And Takara reportedly gave some practical advice. Charge for talks or information. Each work must be worth its earnings.
Even cosmic contacts have bills to pay, huh? And what about that non-interference rule? Was it ever bent just for him?
The notes claim yes, but only in very specific, dire circumstances. They reportedly interfered slightly to help Meier in extreme emergencies, influencing others to find him when his life was in danger.
How many times?
The test is precise, exactly 3 times, no more.
Exactly 3 times. Wow. Okay. This deep dive, looking just at the content of these contact notes from Edward Billy Meier, it's been, well, quite a ride.
It really has an extraordinary range of claims packed into this source material.
Yeah, from those first encounters, the pear-shaped craft,
Yeah.
the old man,
Yeah.
all the way to billion-fold light-speed travel, critiques of humanity, deep history, spirituality.
Planetary warnings, personal journeys to Venus and Mercury, encounters with Ta, the eternity experience. The sheer density of the information presented here is remarkable.
We've covered a lot. The tech descriptions, the scope of life out there, the specific historical and spiritual accounts, and those really urgent warnings for Earth.
All drawn directly from this specific text, these notes.
And that's key, isn't it? As we wrap up, it's crucial for everyone listening to remember. This exploration was strictly about the content within this particular source material. We've laid out what these specific contact notes claim.
Exactly. We're reporting the contents of the document. So as you reflect on all this, listener, what really sticks with you, maybe it's that stark warning we discuss about Earth's future being entirely in its own hands.
Yeah, that idea that if humanity becomes too dangerous, it's destined under these described natural laws to just remove itself. That's sobering.
Or perhaps it's the other side of the coin, that core spiritual idea presented. The creation is inside of every human being. What might that mean for your own understanding, your own sense of connection, if you were to really sit with that concept?
Definitely a lot to process. The claims made in these notes, whether you accept them, reject them, or just find them fascinating, they certainly leave you with some truly provocative questions to mull over.